Hi everyone, this is Ellie. This video is going to be pretty different from my other videos. This video isn't really a guide, it's sort of just recording my own trip of inspiration runs. What I'm going to try and do is, I guess in some sense, it's sort of like a combat reference, if you will, but I'm basically going to try and talk through my decision making for a manual combat so that maybe, other players can pick up on it, can kind of understand why I'm doing the things that I'm doing. Also, like a strictly combat guide is pretty hard to do just because everyone owns different sorts of cards and obviously the cards have different skills. So I'm going to try my best to describe the decision making and the thinking process behind the combat so that hopefully that serves well as some sort of reference or foundation for other players out there. Obviously, there's no correct or perfect way to play the game. So what I do maybe isn't the most optimal, but for me, it works out. So I'm just putting that out there. Also, I know someone asked a question about what it means for a card to be better or good in auto versus in manual. I think you'll see a bit more about that in this video, but manual combat is often really reliant on the timing of the skills and the ults, which you can control in manual combat, but you can't control that in auto. First example that pops up in my head is Alkaid's SSR Stellaris. The skill 1, it cleanses Incapacitate and offers a little bit of damage reduction, I believe. That skill doesn't work well on auto at all just because it registers in the system, in the AI, I guess, as a cleanse the Incapacitate first. That's the triggering condition for the skill to work. If there's no Illustra on the team that is incapacitated, that skill will not trigger. Even if you only want to use it for damage reduction. And that's why I believe in my Illustra guide I said if you're an auto-only player, skill 1 is practically useless. Also in this video, I'm going to try and switch up the teams a little bit just so people can see different formations and how they work together. Obviously, my cards are going to be different from yours. My investment into my cards and the Picturas are going to be different from yours as well. So I guess just take everything as just sort of a reference. Plan for this video is I'm going to auto the first 10 or the first 15 stages just because I think usually the first few stages usually just depend on your pure investment. Now, getting started with the trip of inspiration, I just want to quickly mention that the navigation assistant up here, for stage 1, it says increase the ultimate charge of Godheim Illustras by 30. It's going to be different for all of the stages, but the navigation assistant is basically the system will give you a buff for certain types of Illustras. So I'm just going to brute force the first few stages on auto. So this is, I may fast forward this while I'm editing, I'm not sure. Hi everyone, I'm back. So I just decided to auto through all the way through trip stage 14. I'm now at trip stage 15 and I'm going to do manual combat from here on out. So first thing I'm looking at, navigation assistant, the buff says increase the ultimate charge of Spirit World Illustras by 100. So I'm going to prefer to use Spirit World Illustras here. Okay, so about my choices, first of all here I have, hold on, let me pull it up. I have Light Era, which is a Spirit World Illustra. Here are the skills. Ult 1, I haven't equipped any Illustras on it yet. And then this is Ice Coconut, the well-known Coconut Lars. Mine is, hold on, I should probably show this. Mine is 10, 10, and Ult 6. Obviously, if you don't have your own copy of it, you can borrow one from a friend. That's totally fine. In my third slot is Shattered Stars, which is a very versatile support. Mine is 10, 10, level 2. And then for these, I have Quarter of Fate Clearance. This is 10, 1, and level 6. And this is another Spirit World Illustra. This is Alkaid's. This is more of a survivability AoE rather than any sort of damage dealer. So I have 1, 10, and then ult level 1. So a couple things to note here. First of all, Light Era usually is placed first on the team because of this 30% chance to freeze enemy's ultimate charge for 2 turns. And this is basically Cage of Guilt's ult, except it's a probability. And so you want this one first so that you don't increase enemy's ultimate charge before you freeze it. That's why you want to put this in slot 1 so that you're not attacking them and increasing their ultimate charge before you freeze it. You get maximum benefit from the freezing freezing the ult charge if you put this in slot 1. For Shattered Stars, you want this in 3rd slot or afterwards, depending on the team, but this is because it reduces their ultimate charge by a certain amount. And this is important because you don't want to reduce it first and then have another Illustra on your team attack the enemy, because you attacking the enemy then increases their ultimate charge. So you don't want to have it reduce and then add one more time. So you want to make sure that Shattered Stars' ult is the last ult that procs. These two, there's not much order to them, but I do also want to mention that Coconut Lars, if you have multiple damage dealers on the team, you generally want this relatively earlier on your team just because it has a decreased enemy defense by however many percent for 2 turns. And so that means you increase the damage output from your other damage dealer or damage dealers if you reduce their defense from Coconut Lars first. Hopefully that makes sense. Obviously, if you have any questions, go ahead and ask them in the comment section, and I'll try to get to them as soon as I can. But the assist slot doesn't really matter to me. I'll just put Eins because it's Spirit World. Okay, check the pictures one more time. For Coconut Lars, I have the damage dealing set, which is the Princess Day one, increase ultimate damage. Shattered Stars, similar to Light Era, I want it to hold as frequently as possible. So this one is also Pure White Garden. That doesn't really matter. These don't really matter. I'm just going to use whichever ones I have built best. Okay, and now let's go. I forgot to turn off the auto, and so I had to restart. And so the assist is different, but everything else stays the same. Okay. Okay, so what I usually do first on manual combat is you press and hold on the enemy, and you can check their statuses down here and also their ultimate, what their ultimate does. And I always check this to see which one is the most annoying. So for example, the one on the left is, deal damage is pretty standard, but the apply damage over time. The middle one is increase the ultimate charge of all allies by 50. The one on the right is reduce ultimate charge. Now personally, I would say the middle and the one on the right are very annoying. I'm going to go with the middle one. So what I'm going to do is, yeah, this one's fine. I'm going to use, likewise, you can just press and hold on the skills and the ult on the cards to check what they do. And here I'm going to not use Shattered Stars skills yet because the ult charge is full for Light Era. So I want to get maximum benefit and not waste anything. Likewise for this one, Light Era's skill 2, I don't want to use it either because this, his Light Era's ult is already full. But how ult charge gain works is usually by the end of the turn, it increases more. So if I use the ult this turn, it'll still get the benefit from the ult charge gain percentage. This one, I want Coconut Lars to ult more frequently, so I'm going to use this as a charge. Actually, one more thing about the Shattered Stars skill. This one is increase the attack of all Illustras by 12% for 2 turns, or this depends on the level of investment for the skill, but I could also use it here to buff the ult of Light Arrow. I'm just choosing not to use it because I'm hoping that it'll charge fast enough for this to come around next time. And here I'm doing one of each from the middle and the one on the right is because I don't want, in case the Light Era ult does not freeze the ult gauge for the enemies, I don't want to concentrate on one and have the middle one, for example, ult too fast. So I'm trying to control the speed at which the enemies charge, if that makes sense. So here you see that the Light Era ult only froze the one on the left, which is actually the worst option, but who am I to complain? That's obviously a gamble. What I'm going to do here is try and focus down the one on the middle, because I find the ult most annoying. So here it looks like Coconut Lars' ult is not ready yet, but I want it to be ready. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use this charging skill. You can also just see how much ult charge it has. It's at 98. Oh my god, it's at 98. So I can use it to charge. So for example, I'm just going to go ahead and use Light Era's ult. Or actually, I'm going to go ahead and use Shattered Stars ult also for the attack damage. And here I'm going to use the ultimate damage boost skill for Coconut Lars. And I'm going to focus fire on the middle one because I want it to die perfectly this turn. So unfortunately, it didn't die. Things happen, that's okay. I'm going to keep continuing to charge, do a little bit of healing here, and this one does do a little bit of damage. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to try and defeat all the enemies this turn. 3,000, pretty small HP. I'm kind of hoping that the Shattered Stars ult will kill it. 9,002 as well. Obviously, I can try and turn this around by doing this, by doing this, because I know that Coconut Lars' attack and the normal attack damage is more than Light Era's. So if I want to try and even out the enemy's HP, I would have Light Era attack the enemy with less HP and Coconut Lars attack the one with more HP. The 3,000 should die either way, but let's see. So clearly there was a healing or a revive on this enemy. I didn't see it, but that's okay. Likewise here, kind of same thing. I'm going to use this. I press and hold on it, and it looks like ultimate charge is 20. I have 83, so I could use it here, but the issue is my skill 1, which is the ult damage boost, is not ready yet. It has one more turn for cooldown. I'm personally not going to use it on this because I want to maximize my damage from the ult, basically. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to charge Shattered Stars and see if, before it dies, it can get more skills off. So I'm still going to use Light Era's ult, and just checking the enemies one more time. I still think the one in the middle and the one on the right are the most annoying, so those are the ones I'm still going to target. So thankfully it froze the one on the right, so I don't really have to worry about it right now. I'm going to try and, let's see. It's likely that the 4000 is not going to die, but let's try it anyways. Did I just say 4000? I meant the 40k one. I wasn't sure if the 40k enemy was going to die or not. Okay, and so Shattered Stars died, unfortunately. That's okay. We want to check the statuses too. For example, this one cannot suffer attribute debuffs, deal damage to enemies with invincibility. Doesn't really matter for me because there's nothing here that applies any of those. So this should be relatively easy. I'm just going to auto these. That should die pretty quickly, and I'm going to ult that one. Okay, I made the same mistake of not checking that it has a revive. That's okay, but it's going to die here. Okay, now moving on to stage 16. I believe stages 16 to 20 don't have the navigation assistant, meaning they don't have the buffs that the system gives you, purely reliant on our own skills, basically. I'm gonna change the team, actually. I'm gonna bring this one in front. As I said earlier, you want Shattered Stars in the third or later slot. You want, if there's 2 damage dealers on your team, you want Coconut Lars before the other one so that you can maximize damage output. For these, I'm going to try and do brute force route here. So this team is just going to be pure brute force, and we'll see if we can accomplish anything with that. I should also mention that all of my pictures here are entirely maxed out on level. And I believe I have 2 or 3 sets. So I have 3 sets, these 3 here, where the 3-star Pictura is also maxed effect, just for your reference. I guess this one. Okay. Same thing, we're going to check each enemy. The one on the left, reduce ultimate charge, apply damage over time, gain taunt. Oh, you know, taunt is actually pretty annoying. Reduce ultimate charge is also pretty annoying, actually. Taunt, Okay, I'm going to try and go for the reduce enemy charge one, or sorry, reduce illustrate ultimate charge one. So this time I'm going to use this skill here, and this is because there's no ult that is ready, so I want to charge and make sure it comes up as soon as possible. Now this is 20. It provides 20 ultimate charge. Right now I'm at 80. If I wanted to, I could use the skill on Coconut Lars to have the ult be ready this turn. And in fact, that is what I'm going to do, because I want to see if I can try and get as much damage output and kill the enemy, the 2 ghosts, as fast as possible. I'm going to hold off on the skill 1 for a quarter of fate clearance just because it's an attack buff, and right now my ult for this Illustrator is not going to be ready, or at least I'm not sure if it'll be ready in 2 turns, so I'm going to hold off on it. Skill 2, reduce the accuracy of all enemies and gain damage over time immunity. So this one would work pretty well for the middle enemies ult, but she's not ulting soon, and it doesn't look like there's other... Yeah, it doesn't look like these 2 are any probability effect ones, so I'm just going to ult on Coconut Lars. And another thing is, if I attack this this enemy, it's likely that the ult gauge is going to be full. If I attack this one, it is also likely going to be full as well. But if I try and focus it down, it's possible that it will die this turn, but we'll see. Yes, perfect. So now that one's out of the way. Now we want to make sure that this enemy dies this turn, which is pretty easy. 9,000 is not much. And this one is also reduce illustrate ult charge, so that one definitely I want to kill fast as well. Oh, and it looks like this middle one is actually about to ult. I'm going to use both skills for quarter of fate clearance here. And I'm going to do this. And this is again because I want to make sure I kill this enemy, the 9,000 or the almost 10k HP one, but I don't think Shattered Stars will be able to. Actually, what I'm going to do is I'm going to do this, just to make sure this enemy definitely dies this turn. I'm going to attack the one on the left because I want it to die fast, so that's why I'm attacking it this way. And did I explain what? I can't remember. Anyways, so the reason why I used this skill last turn was also because the attack buff stays for 2 turns, and so I knew that I would get the ult this turn, so that's why I used this skill last turn, so it covers 2 turns. Hopefully that makes sense. Now, I definitely want this enemy on the left to die, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to target the Coconut Lars normal attack on this enemy just to make sure that we can kill it this turn. And use the ults as well. Obviously, Shattered Stars' ult I'm choosing to use here because 2 of the enemies, their ult gauges are already full. Also, I realize I'm kind of losing my voice, so just bear with me. And here, the reason why I don't attack the enemy on the right is because if I attack it, its ult gauge is going to be full. I don't want it to be full right now. So I'm just going to attack the middle enemy, which its ult gauge is already full. So if I attack it more, it doesn't affect anything. Okay, now what I'm going to do is I want to charge the, let's see which one I want to charge. I want to do damage soon, so I'm going to choose to charge the Quarter of Fate clearance. I'm also going to use Coconut Lars' ult. That's pretty self-explanatory. Deal damage. Okay, that ult kind of doesn't matter. Deal damage. Okay, that ult doesn't matter. Okay, it looks like none of the ults really matter from here on out. So I'm just using Shattered Stars to attack the middle enemy because I want to make sure it dies. Otherwise, I'm trying to, distribute. I'm trying to distribute the damage in a way where it doesn't overflow, if that makes sense. Okay, and now I'm just trying to deal as much damage as possible. Some healing. And from here on out, it's pretty simple. You just keep going. And that's it. Hopefully that was relatively easy to understand. I don't know if I'm rambling or not. I feel like maybe I'm talking too much. But hopefully it's helpful for someone out there. Okay, now we're at trip stage number 17. For whom do the gorgeous roses bloom? I don't know, that feels like an Alcade situation. Anyways, so for this team, we're gonna try something different. Yeah, so we're gonna try this team actually. This team, so a bit more about this team. This one I think I mentioned earlier. This is a more focus on survivability Illustru. So it's like a damage reduction type. It decreases enemies' attack, that sort of thing. Now this Watermelon Smoothie Clearance, I feel like a lot of people don't have this card or something. I don't know. Anyways, so this one is actually a very versatile support as well. I will say that I feel like it does better in kind of single damage dealer teams, where because the skills are just single target, right? They increase one Illustra's attack and then increase one Illustra's ultimate damage. So it's just focused on one Illustra. The ult, it does a tiny bit of healing and increases all Illustra's ultimate charge gain by a little bit. Honestly, the ult isn't anything special. It's mostly about these supportive skills that they have here. And so the reason why I'm going to use Watermelon Smoothie here is because really only Coconut Lars is doing damage here, so I'm just going to try and charge it and support it as much as possible. And then here I'm just going to put, does it really matter? I don't think so. I'm just going to go with the standard Quarter of Fate, Stellaris. I don't think there's anything special here. Yeah, doesn't really matter. Here I'm gonna put Pure White Garden on Watermelon Clearance because the ultimate doesn't do any damage, so there's no point in putting a Princess Day one on it. That's mostly the only reason, because otherwise, I mean, and also I think if you've taken a look at any of my Pictura guide videos or content, I always say that the only Picturas that are worth building, worth investing into, are increased initial ult charge ones that are 3-star and 2-star, like a pair. Okay, and then these I'm just going to continue to use Princess Day for a little bit more damage. This one also Princess Day, and this one I guess also Princess Day. I mean this doesn't matter too much here. Hit apply, and let's see. Okay, right off the bat, I already see that one of the enemies is taunted, or it is taunting, and so it doesn't really matter which one's most annoying, because you're kind of forced to target this enemy. Heal all allies, okay, that's healing. One on the left, incapacitate, one on the right, damage over time. Personally, I don't like the incapacitate one, I find this one the most annoying one, but I don't really have a choice right now, so I have to attack the middle one. So what I'm going to do is, I'm not going to... I don't think I have to use any of my skills right now. Let's see. I'm at 40 charge. If I use this skill, it's going to be plus 20, so 60. If I use this one, 80. So either way, I'm not going to be able to ult this round. And for the damage reduction skill on Tangled Vines, I don't need to use it because the ult for this middle enemy is healing. And so what am I damage reducing, right? So either way, doesn't really matter. I'm just going to charge Coconut Lars per usual. This one I'm going to hold off on because I also want Coconut Lars' ult to have the damage, or to have the attack buff. So I'm going to hold off on this one. I'm also going to hold off on this one just so that my Coconut Lars ult deals as much damage as possible. Okay, now I can... Okay, so now I'm going to use Coconut Lars' ult. What I'm going to say is that I'm going to use this skill now because of the charging and the attack buff. I'm also going to use, the ult damage buff here and the ult damage buff here. So as much damage as possible, and I'm going to use this one here. And I'm also going to use this damage reduction skill because the two enemies on the left and the right are going to ult. Okay. So now I'm going to ult. Okay, perfect. And honestly, right now, I don't have a choice other than to continue to attack this enemy. It looks like that one is incapacitated. Unfortunate. I'm just going to keep attacking. This is pretty standard. Okay, so Tangled Vines died. That's also okay. Nothing to really worry about. Here, I'm going to charge Coconut Lars. I do want it to ult soon. Let's see. And I'm also going to use the ult on Watermelon Clarence. Okay, now there's no taunt here. Looks like this one is damage over time, no attribute debuffs. This is prevent enemies, so prevent us from using ultimate for 3 turns. Okay, that's really annoying. So I'm just going to focus on the one on the right. Again, for this time, I'm going to try and buff my Coconut Lars as much as possible. This one does have the attack buff and the ult damage charge. Unfortunately, the cooldown isn't done, and also I kind of don't want to waste the ultimate charge part of the skill, so I'm just going to go ahead and ult anyways. Otherwise, the skills on Promise, I'm just going to call it Promise Clearance, not really useful right now. Okay, and just something to note, if I do this right now, it's possible that this enemy is just going to, the ult gauge is going to be full. I don't want that, so what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to divert the attack for Watermelon Clearance this way. Yeah, and so what I'm going to do now is I'm going to charge Promise Clearance with the skill. I'm also going to apply the attack buff here as well. This one, reduce and gain damage over time immunity, does apply for the one on the left, so I am going to use the skill as well. The immunity, or the reduce accuracy part, isn't going to work because the enemies are immune to attribute debuffs, so I just use it mostly for the damage over time immunity. So now I'm going to ult this. I want to make sure that this enemy dies, so I'm going to attack this way. Okay, so unfortunately neither of them died. Doesn't matter, we're just going to do this, and that's pretty simple. And we get a cute avatar. Okay, now we're back. Now it's stage 18, Creatures of the Night. Okay, it looks like maybe it's Ein, but let's take a look. Okay, so first of all, for the team, I realized I haven't done a stall team yet, so can I find it? Okay, yes. So this is the Cage plus Surging Warmth standard team formation. It's a very classic stall team, and what I mean by stall team is basically it prevents the enemies from using ults. That's kind of the purpose of these 2 cards, is so that the enemies cannot ult. So both of these cards, I think I mentioned in my Illustrator guides, both of these cards work better or are pretty reliant on manual combat. At least Surging Warmth is more reliant on manual combat. And the reason why it's heavily reliant on manual, at least Surging Warmth is more so, is because the ult, here, let me just show it, but the ult is clear their ultimate charge if they are affected by attribute debuffs. So it's a conditional clear the ultimate charge. And so you need to have, at that moment, the enemies need to have attribute debuffs for this ult to clear the ult gauge. And so in that sense, it is reliant on timing, and therefore it's reliant on manual combat. Anyways, so we're going to go with this team here. I guess let me just show it's going to be 10-1-2 Cage of Guilt. Coconut Lars, I think I already showed. It's entirely maxed out. Surging Warmth is 10-10-1. Actually, Cage of Guilt and Surging Warmth, both of them aren't reliant on ult levels at all, and they do their job perfectly well at ult 1, so I don't think anyone should worry about not having levels on those 2 cards. Here I'm actually gonna go with the healer, actually, and this one. Actually, this one. I'm gonna do this. Okay. And so in this case, I didn't do the pictures yet. Okay, so I do want them to charge fast. However, this one, I only built one of my Pure White Gardens to max effect, so I'm gonna have to make some adjustments. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna change Cage of Guilt one to damage, which doesn't really matter, I guess. It's kind of just what I have built and what I don't, and that just happens to be this case. And then for healers, obviously the best in slot set is the Pure White Garden set because of the initial ult charge on the, the effect, and also the ult charge gain on the resonance. So for healers, best in slot is going to be Pure White Garden. Okay, now we're going to apply this. Assist, I mean, doesn't really matter, honestly. I'm kind of indecisive about this. So, yeah, doesn't matter. We're just going to go. Yes, of course it's Ein. And so let's see here. One on the left, increase crit damage, yeah, that's whatever. Grant invincibility, that's annoying. And prevent them from using their ult, okay, that's also annoying. Okay, so it looks like the one on the right is pretty annoying, and the one in the middle is also annoying. However, the one on the right does have less HP to begin with, so that one should be easier to kill. And so we're just going to try and focus down... Oh, And there's a resurrection, it looks like. Even more annoying. Okay, that's okay. The middle one cannot suffer from attribute debuffs. See, that's going to be an issue because the ult for Surging Warmth is dependent on whether or not the enemy has attribute debuffs. And if we can't apply attribute debuffs on this this Midnight Wolf King enemy, then it's kind of useless. But, you know, we're already in here, we're just going to try it. Okay, and so we want to focus down the one on the right. Let's go for charging. And actually here, what I'm going to do is I'm going to charge Cage of Guilt. Because I don't want it to ult. I don't want enemies to ult, and they're already at half gauge. So what I'm going to do is... I don't really know how fast they're going to charge. So we're going to do this. No, we're going to do this and see... Basically, we're just going to test the waters. We're going to gamble, actually, now. So Surging Warmth skill 2 is 77% to prevent all... Or at max level, 77% to prevent all enemies from using their ults. So we're going to try that. And so it looks like that works, which is great. I'm actually going to do this. Because my Cage of Guilt ult is going to come next round. And I'm kind of hoping it's not going to charge too fast. So we're just going to do this. Okay, now we see a lot of ults going on. We're going to apply the attribute debuffs now. Remember, the one in the middle is immune to attribute debuffs, so the Surging Warmth ult is not going to clear its gauge. And so what we can do, however, is use Cage of Guilt's skill 1 to prevent it from ulting. And that's exactly what I'm going to do here. And also, now I'm going to basically pour as much damage as I can. I'm going to also use Surging Warmth's ult now because the other two enemies have attribute debuffs. So I'm going to use this one to control, to freeze the enemy's ult gauges. I'm going to just pour everything. Okay, and now we're going to try and focus down the middle enemy if it's possible. Let's take a look. Nope. So that's very annoying. It's only at one. Okay, that's fine. What I'm going to do here is I'm going to focus all of my attacks on the middle enemy, even though they're all invincible, because I don't want the left enemy and the one on the right to have their ult gauges be full. And right now, the ult gauge that is the emptiest is the one in the middle, so that's the one I'm going to target. Okay, and now that they're not invincible anymore, again, we're going to try and disable the enemy's ults. Okay, it looks like the one on the left and the one on the right are disabled. The one on the the one on the left and the right aren't. Unable to gain buffs. I mean, that's kind of whatever. And what's the one on the left? Heal. Yeah, that's also whatever. And so anyway, none of these are actually that important. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to just focus on this. And what is this? Increased crit damage, also kind of whatever. So now if you see, I want to use my Surging Warmth ult, but the attribute debuff on this one, the Cage of Guilt skill 2, isn't ready. However, the one on the attribute debuff on the Promise Clearance is ready, so that's the one I'm going to use. We'll just see. I also want to use the attack buff. So let's use this. Of all enemies, were these also, oh my god, these were also immune to attribute debuffs. So that one's kind of useless. That's okay. We're just, we're learning as we go. Okay, only 2 remaining enemies. We are just going to deal as much damage as possible here. That one died. Doesn't really matter. This one's gonna die anyways. Okay, and that's that. Hopefully that was a relatively okay explanation for what the stall team, or at least what Cage plus Surging Warmth does. Another good combo is Cage plus, either a damage dealer or healer plus Shattered Stars. Okay, now I'm back. Now this is stage 19. Lamplights flicker. Okay. And so actually what I'm going to do for this one is I'm also going to do a stall team, but I'm not going to use Surging Warmth. I'm going to do Cage of Guilt plus, where is it? Shattered Stars. I'm going to keep these the same. This one doesn't really matter here. And this one I'm going to have Pure White Guardian. Okay, and then for this one, I guess it, again, doesn't really matter. I'm just going to go with that one. And the reason why I chose like this is because of this ultimate charge gain bonus team formation buff. I personally don't really look at it that much unless I just have no idea what I want to borrow as an assist. In that case, I usually try to fulfill this buff, but otherwise, I wouldn't stress out about it. Okay, now let's see what we're up against. Okay, 50% to apply incapacitate, that's kind of annoying. 50% to prevent ultimate charge, okay, that's kind of annoying. Apply dot, that's whatever. Okay, I would say the middle one is the most annoying, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to charge. And now, because we don't have Surging Warmth, where the ult is dependent on attribute debuffs, we can actually make use of Cage of Guilt skill 2, which is the ultimate charge gain reduction, which honestly isn't that much, but it's something, so we're just going to use it. I'm going to charge Cage of Guilt. because I want to, because they're already half full, right? The ult gauges are already half full, so I don't want them to ult too early, so I'm just going to charge. And I'm actually going to do this so that I don't increase one enemy's ult charge by too much. Perfect. Now what I'm going to do is, looks like none of them are full, so I'm going to use the Cage of Guild's ult to freeze their ult gauges, and I'm also going to charge Coconut Lars's ult using skill 2 of Shattered Stars.
Okay.
So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to use the ult damage buff, and I'm going to, okay, also something to note, because the ult freezes ult charge, you don't want to use Cage of Guild's skill 1 at this point, because they're not going to charge anyways, so their ult gauges aren't going to be full right now anyways, so don't waste that skill on that. Okay, and now that they're frozen, the ult gauges are frozen, now I want to make sure I focus fire on the most annoying enemy, which I think is the middle one. Okay, I am going to hold on to Shattered Stars' ult right now because I feel like it's a high chance that I'm just going to be able to kill these enemies. Yes. Oh, high clearance. Okay. So we have 50% to prevent the ult charge, 80%, oh, that's annoying. 50% dodge, okay, that's whatever. What I'm going to do is I'm going to focus on you because I think the middle enemy is the most annoying. I'm not going to worry too much on about the ult charge gain for the middle enemy by attacking twice just because I have Shattered Stars, which is going to likely help with that. And I also have Cage of Guild's skill 1 ready, so it's likely that the middle enemy isn't going to be able to ult for a while. Okay. Okay, it looks like it's going to ult now. What I'm going to do is I'm going to charge Cage of Guild again. I don't want it to ult. I'm going to use skill 1 on the middle enemy so it doesn't ult, and I'm just going to focus on this one. Because it's not going to ult anyway, so it's whatever. Okay, so now what I can do is I can charge, or I can, yeah, charge and apply an attack buff using Shattered Stars as first skill. I don't really want to just because I have 2 ults ready, so I don't want to waste that. I'm just going to hold on to it for now. So now I'm going to use this, and if we're lucky, maybe we can burst down this middle enemy, but I kind of doubt it, so we'll see. Yeah, I figured. Okay. Doesn't matter. That's okay. I'm just going to quickly heal this one, and I'm going to charge, and just dump everything. Okay, so now for the last stage, stage 20. The last show is about to begin. Let's see. Honestly, I think I'm going to go for another control team. Where is it? Okay, I don't have one set up, but I'm just going to... We're still just going to do Cage of Guild and Surging Warmth, because the previous one didn't really work that well. Okay, so after refreshing for a solid 2 minutes, I haven't been able to find a satisfactory Aben Rook. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually just going to run Clarence here. And this one, again, at this point doesn't even matter, because I can't find something that works. I don't like any of these assists. Alright, whatever. We're just gonna do this. Should I run a healer here, maybe? I'll just run Tangled Vines here. Okay, and then for the pictures, we gotta equip them again. Also, bear with me, I think I'm kind of losing my voice, so I'm gonna sound very raspy. We're just gonna run with this and see where it goes, because I feel like the previous stage that I did Cage and Surging Warmth on, which was 18, I don't think that was a really great demonstration, just because there was like immunity to attribute debuffs and stuff, so let's see if this last stage has that. Okay, yes, it does. Okay, well, doesn't matter, that's fine. Okay, so left one, increase ultimate charge, invincibility, taunt, they're all pretty bad. The only one not immune to attribute debuffs is the middle enemy, which I guess is fine. We're just gonna charge it. This one, nothing going on here. And as I said in stage 18, you want to save skill 2 of Cage of Guild for Surging Warmth's ult. This one doesn't need anything right now, so we're actually going to do this because I don't want anyone to charge too fast. I don't want any of the enemies to charge too fast. Okay, so now I'm going to try and disable everyone's ults. That one worked. Yeah, I'm going to use Cage of Guild skill 1 on the middle one because that one didn't get, basically, Surging Warmth skill 2 didn't cover that one. So now I'm going to do this again. Okay, now I'm going to apply the debuff. Unfortunately, it's only going to work for the middle enemy, but that's whatever. That's okay. I'm going to do attack buff. Does this have a... No. So I'm just going to freeze and do as much damage as I can. I'm going to clear ult gauge for the middle enemy. That's the least that I can do. Okay, perfect. I mean, this middle enemy we can definitely kill now. Gain dodge, kind of annoying, honestly. That's okay. Oh, you have resurrection. Okay, I didn't see. Okay, it doesn't matter. You're gonna die anyways. Don't use ult. Gain dodge. Ugh. I'm gonna try. Nope. Well, okay. Doesn't matter. That's kind of just too bad. It's just bad luck. Gain dodge, so that's not gonna work. It's also a good time here just to charge up your Illustrious ult. Okay. Now, on the left, deal damage. On the right, increase... that's annoying. Dot. I mean, dot isn't too bad. Increase ult charge. I don't like the ult charge one. Thankfully, however, we do have a lot of ults at our disposal. It looks like the middle one, middle Illustrate, is immune to attribute debuff, so again, can't clear its ult gauge, although the other ones we can. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to freeze. First of all, I'm going to apply the attack buff. This one I don't need right now. This one I don't need right now. This one I don't need. Okay. None of them I directly need right now. However, what I can do is try and get the left and the right enemies to die as fast as possible. So I'm actually just going to use this one and clear out as much as I can. Okay, that's okay. We're going to do some charging. None of the ults are annoying right now. No ults. And it looks like they have resurrection. Actually, they all have resurrection. In that case, I'm going to focus fire on this one because the ult gauge doesn't increase. The other two, I can clear their ult gauges, so I don't want to have to deal with that again. Okay, doesn't matter. I'm going to charge Cage of Guilt, actually. And this one don't need any of these. How much damage can I do? I'm actually just going to go ahead and try and kill these enemies as fast as I can. Okay, and that's okay. Obviously, they're going to die now, so we're just going to dump all the damage here. And also, just in case. Okay, and perfect. And that'll be it. Hopefully this video was, like, helpful in some way. Obviously, the video, I think, ended up being very long. And I don't think I'm going to do this one more time for future trips. I might just record purely, and with no commentary for future trips, but we'll see. But please like and subscribe if you found this video helpful. Also, if you have any questions, go ahead and leave a comment in the comment section, and I'll try to get to it when I can. Thank you so much.